Good morning, Torah lovers. Oops. Good morning, Torah lovers. I'm Lexi. Welcome to my study of the first two prakim of Mishna D'mai in honor of the memory of Lea Andersen, who passed recently and was a trans woman and rabbinical student and really important person in a lot of people's lives. A group of us are trying to learn the whole Mishnah collectively in honor of her memory and for the uplift of her soul. This is part of that. I'm live streaming my learning to publicize the active merit that hopefully this is for her. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm feeling a little tired today, just to name that. Okay, so what we did yesterday, this is chapter 2, Mishnah 2. Hamakabel alav liyot ne'eman, an am haaretz, any person who's taking it upon themselves to be trustworthy when it comes to tithing has to do more than just tithe. They have to be they have to have a whole mode of behavior that is consistent with what tithing means for a person's life and a person's lifestyle. It is a lifestyle choice. So that's what we had in the second Mishnah. Now let's look at the third Mishnah of our parak. Hamekabel alav lihiyot chaver. I'm going to call this the title. Someone who accepts upon themselves to be a chaver. So I've been saying this whole time that I've been using the phrase a member of the trusted rabbinical society or in the rabbi's circle. The word for that is chaver, which means a friend or someone who is connected. It's kind of short of a friend of the rabbis, meaning that you're oops, hold on. Chaver, meaning you are holding the same level of observance, basically, as one of Chazal, as one of the Talmudic sages, which means, to the extent that observance is a communal and social project, it means that your people are now going to be the rabbis and other chaverim. Maybe I should type that. Trusted member of rabbinic society who holds a high degree of observance. Something like that. I don't know if that's exactly right. Okay, so if you want to be one of these people, here's how you get in. This is your entrance exam. Okay, so this is all of these things are going to be about tahara and tuma. All of these things are going to be about purity and ritual purity and ritual impurity. With basically the context for this being that in Am Haaretz, we assume to be in a state of tuma, of ritual impurity, and that's not to the extent that moral judgments are associated with people who you're not gonna associate with. There's moral judgment associated with it for social reasons, but it's not it's not in itself a moral judgment to say that you are in a state of impurity. For example, literally every person alive right now is in a state of ritual impurity, including me, including everyone. So it's not about you're bad and you should fix it. It's just kind of a natural state of being. Hi viewers, feel free to say stuff in the chat while you're watching. I will respond if it's constructive and relevant. I'm excited to have you. Okay, so all of this is going to be about a chaver has to have a chaver basically has to be in a state of tahara, of ritual purity, kind of like as much as possible. I'll add that. And again, this is like, I'm not an expert in the laws of Tahara and Tuma, so I'm not like claiming that what I'm saying is fully true or accurate. I'm just presenting my own understanding for myself as I'm learning, and I'm doing it in front of you, so maybe that's a dubious claim. Anyway, if you want to be a chaver, you are eino mocher la'am haaretz lach v'yavesh. You don't sell to an am haaretz moist or dry food. Hi, Bran. You don't sell to an am haaretz moist or dry food because. Oh, also another aspect of Tahara and Tuma is that these things, what this Mishnah is talking about, really only applies in the land of Israel. In the land of Israel, the laws of when you should be pure or when you need to be pure and what kind of things you can't do when you're impure are much stricter because in the land of Israel, you have to eat certain foods in a state of purity, and a chaver has to eat all food in a state of ritual purity. So moist food can receive impurity. Dry food generally can't receive impurity. But if you're a chaver, you are not allowed. You're not supposed to sell an am haaretz either moist or dry food, because you don't want to be causing people to eat any food in a state of ritual impurity. So this is like kind of like a deciding for someone that you are going to make them hold like you, or you're at least not going to knowingly cause them to observe, to break your observance. Which is in a sense saying like, I think I'm right. Okay. So you don't take food that has become moist from an am haaretz, because we assume an am haaretz is in a state of tuma, ritual impurity, and therefore, when they touch food that has become moist, that food is now in a state of tahara, and the chaver is not going to eat it. Ve'ino mitareach etzem am haaretz, and you don't go to an am haaretz's house to share food for similar reasons. We assume that the am haaretz's food is not ritually pure. Just to be clear, this is not about kosher and not kosher. Ritually impure food, tamei food, can still be kosher, I think. Just a totally different category. So this one makes sense, kind of follows from the not buying food from them. We also not buying moist food from them. We also don't eat with them. We just assume that the food they deal with is impure. Okay, this one's a little confusing. Velo me'archo etzlo bechisuto, and chaver does not invite, does not have an am haaretz over at their house to eat a food when the am haaretz is dressed in their own clothing. This is some, I don't fully understand this one, but it's something about how clothing can also become tamei, can also become ritually impure, and the kind of impurity that clothing has is like highly transmissible. So when an am haaretz comes in their own clothes, the fact that they're wearing their own clothing means there's like some kind of ritual impurity being spread that it's going to be hard for the chaver to avoid. And if the chaver becomes in a state of tuma, you can't eat food any food anymore. So it just makes sense you wouldn't invite someone over who is going to make you unable to eat anything based on your own stricter observance. Hello, viewer. Sophie says, reminds me of a chaver, friend of ours, a made guy, a member of the mafia. Yeah, it's kind of like you're a member of the rabbinic mafia, except instead of the point of a mafia being to do crimes, the point of being a part of the rabbinic mafia is to do mitzvahs. Okay. That's what everyone agrees you have to do to, attain chaver status, to unlock the achievement of being a chaver. Don't sell an Am food. Don't buy moist food from an Am Don't eat at an Am house, and don't have an Am over to eat with you when they're wearing their own clothes. Rabbi Yehuda adds some stuff. This is kind of like yesterday, where Rabbi Yehuda also added some stuff to what you need to, or had a different opinion about what you need to do to be Naaman. He had a more lenient opinion here. On the chaver question, he's going to have a stricter opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Af lo yegadel behima daka. Rabbi Yehuda says a chaver also should not raise sheep or goats, small animals, because they tend to cause damage. And that's bad for some reason that I don't fully understand. And you shouldn't make a ton of vows or engage in a lot of frivolous behavior. And you should not become impure for dead bodies. Meaning being in the same building as a dead body makes you impure also. It's a different kind of impurity than food impurity. But you shouldn't even become impure for dead bodies, which is very strict. And you should make use of the Beit Midrash, you should study in the Beit Midrash. All this stuff is additional, very strict additional stuff, seems like. And especially the thing about not being able to raise small animals, that kind of means you're rich. If you're able to be a person in a primarily agrarian society who does not raise sheep or goats, that basically means you're probably rich or you have some other trade. So it's highly restrictive, all of these things, even more on top of the restrictions that this already causes. That basically you can't have any kind of real friendships with any Amei Haaretz because you can't share food with them. Okay, Amrulo, the majority of the sages said to Rabbi Yehuda, Lo va'u elu lachlal. All of those things that Rabbi Yehuda added, that's not part of what the requirements for being a chaver are. That's too much. Dr. Joshua Kolb, in his English explanation of the Mishnah, which you can access on Sefaria, explains that with all of these additional strictures, Rabbi Yehuda is basically saying you need to basically be a rabbi. You need to study in the Beit Midrash all the time and hold on to all of these other things. And the majority of the sages that's a little bit overboard. Rabbi Yehuda, we don't need someone to do all this stuff to be able to trust them. Just basically severing social ties with Amei Haaretz, that is the result of these rules, is going to be good enough for us to not just trust them to be Naaman and D'mai, but also to be fully part of our social circle and our circle of observance. We can basically trust them to be observant in kind of everything because they're now spending their time with us, eating food with us, and not really eating food with other Amei Haaretz, and so on. Okay, that's this Mishnah. It's not directly about D'mai, but it kind of follows from how do we treat D'mai more strictly, and it touches really clearly on the question of the fact, the underlying question that brings up the point of D'mai, which is how do we navigate social relations between people who are holding different observances than we are, while still respecting the validity and importance of our own observance. Bran, Sophie, do you have any thoughts to kind of wrap us up about this? I'm gonna. Is there anything else I want to say about this? Kind of like chaver is like a middle category between like full on sage and arts. Basically requires cutting meaningful social ties. Okay, so we've kind of fleshed out our picture a little bit of like from the other side of like what's the chaver haaretz distinction that like what do you need to do to have your produce not be subject to d'mai is naaman, and like what do you need to do to be like fully one of our like one of us? You need to be a chaver and do the following things. It's basically about tahara and tuma, about purity. So many categories. Yeah, there's so many categories. Drawing charts can be helpful. And it's really important whenever you're studying Talmud to keep in mind what categories are at play here, because that really affects the whole conversation. Another word for chaver, some scholars think, is prushim, which means people who hold themselves separate because they're like so careful about being in a state of tahara as much as possible, that they like hold themselves separate. And that is where we get the word Pharisees, prushim, are chaverim. So like the Pharisees are like rabbinical Jews around that time. Okay, so there was a Facebook, there was like a meme that went kind of viral, at least on Facebook, about like Pharisees are good. It's not an insult to be a Pharisee. You should stop saying that. Anyway, that's not really related. That's Mishna D'mai, Perek 2, Mishnah 3. And I have done this learning in memory and for the uplift of the soul of Lea Yocheved but Abraham Sarah. And in general, the learning on Divrei Torah is sponsored in memory of these beloved neshamas via Patreon. I will see y'all tomorrow, actually at 9:30 tomorrow. Or no, I will not see you at 9:30 tomorrow. I'll be back at like 10:30 Eastern tomorrow for the next Mishnah. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.